All right, this is part 2 of the jerk series. Video 1 was all about the overview. Video 2 is about the dip and drive phase of the lift. That's this video. And then video number 3, is going to be on the catch and the recovery, both for split jerks and for power or squat jerks. All right, my name is Doug Larson with the Barbell Shrug Podcast. This is Alex Macklin. He's one of our Faction and Barbell Shrug weightlifting coaches. First, Alex is going to demo a full split jerk, and then we're going to break down the dip and drive portion. All right, we're going to run through things one by one. First, if you look at Alex from the side, he's standing nice and tall, and the barbell is resting all the way on his shoulders. There's no space under the bar. A really common problem is that new people catch the bar, and there's space here. They're holding the bar in their hands, and they're not letting it rest comfortably on their shoulders. So go ahead and do it wrong for a second. Grab the bar. See all this space is right here? That's going to kill your power. If you're relying on how strong you are holding a bar in your hands versus letting it rest all the way on the shelf of your shoulders, you're going to jerk 20% of what you're going to be able to jerk otherwise. And it's not going to look very pretty. Okay, so elbows always high. Ideally, your hands would be closed. Alex keeps his hands a little bit open when he jerks. Ideally, you'd have them all the way closed. It's not necessarily necessary, but ideally that would be the case. So if Alex maybe closes his hands just for a second. There you go. So this way, with your hands already closed, you don't throw the bar up and then have to catch it at the top. Your hands are already around the bar, no catching necessary, and that's, in my opinion, the most stable, secure, safe way to do it, okay? All right, again, from the side, if we look at Alex, as he dips, go ahead and dip and pause at the bottom, he keeps his elbows high, and he keeps a vertical torso. It's not like a squat where you bend forward as you go down. In a squat, you keep a vertical shin, you push your butt back, in some variations of squat anyway. For a jerk, that's not how it is at all. You go vertical torso, knees go forward, weight stays on the heels. What a lot of people do, again, if Alex does it wrong, do it like a regular squat where your elbows go down and your butt goes back. That's a bad jerk, okay? You just want to dip very shallow with a vertical back. Go and do it correctly one more time, just like that. Any further than that, you're probably dipping too far, okay? All right, so I'm going to use this PVC pipe as kind of a vertical reference line so you can see the difference when Alex does it correctly with a vertical back when he dips, and when he does it incorrectly when he does it more squat style with his butt going back and his torso tilting forward incorrectly. So you can do it correctly here, vertical back, go ahead and go. Okay, the bar basically goes straight down, might even go back a little bit, and then go ahead and do it wrong once where you tilt forward. Okay, see how much space that is? You don't want to have that space there. If the bar goes forward and then I go to launch it, I have to pull it back because remember, I'm going to catch it behind my head. I would have to pull the weight back even further. More than likely, I'm going to launch it forward and it's going to be out in front of you and you're going to miss the lift. So you want to dip at that vertical back because then you're not going to have to chase the weight at all. You're going to be able to throw it behind you and catch it overhead easier. Another quick tip on elbows. Your elbows are up, as I said earlier, and then as you dip, I like to push my elbows up as I dip. So if you look at Alex's elbows, as he goes down, he's going to try and lift his elbows up like a ½ inch. There you go. Again, that's the cue I like to use for me to keep that vertical torso. So I like to go up and then up again as I drive out of that dip, and that reminds me to keep my elbows high, and that reminds me to keep that vertical torso, and kind of everything falls in place for me when I use that cue. Again, what you don't want to do, a lot of people will dip and then they'll go like this, and then when they go to drive, their elbows go down like that. I see that a lot. I feel like I see it more in women than I do in men, but it's probably a problem with everybody, and I'm just way sexist and biased. I'm not sure. All right, for the elbows also, you see Alex's elbows go out a little bit from his shoulder. He's not in like this. He wants his elbows to be out wide like that. That's going to help him kind of spread his chest and externally rotate where he's not caving in like this. See, a lot of times people don't have very good shoulder mobility. They go like this and then they cave like that because they don't have enough shoulder mobility or upper back extension to hold the bar very well. So you want extended, elbows out, shoulder blades not together but somewhat retracted where you're not rolled forward with bad posture out of position. All right, we're gonna talk about the timing of the dip and basically staying stable in your midsection by controlling your breathing. So what Alex wants to do is he's gonna pop the bar, take a big deep breath, and then he's gonna squeeze his glutes and kind of pull his rib cage down a little bit, and he's creating a lot of intra-abdominal pressure. That way when he goes to dip, he's as solid as possible all the way through his torso. You don't wanna be sloppy there. You don't wanna breathe out all the way and just kind of be loose. You're not going to be able to throw up as much weight as you would if you're nice and stable. So again, if this is heavy, you're not going to be able to just take a big breath in. You might have to give it a little bit of a pop, take that breath, and then you're going to want to do your jerk once the bar stops oscillating. So that's illegal to get a bounce and then do your jerk. Once the bar stops oscillating, you're going to want to go right into it, because if you're holding your breath with a bunch of weight or a little bit of weight, you're going to get tired and you're going to black out is what's going to happen too. So you want to take that breath, get stable, and then go right away. As far as, what's the other thing we were going to talk about? Just a second ago.
Dipping, timing.
Oh, timing, that's right. Okay, as far as timing goes, again, you want that shallow dip. It's controlled on the way down, and you're trying to get the bar to oscillate. A lot of nicer Olympic bars are going to be somewhat kind of whippy and flexible. You want the bar to oscillate and kind of spring up as you spring down under it. So that's hard to see with no weight on the bar because there's nothing to kind of make the bar bend. But if you look at Alex, he's going to have a controlled dip, and then he's going to fire out of the hole very quickly to get a nice bounce on the weight. There you go. Go and do it more full speed. There you go. Okay, so you can see what Alex is not doing is he's not dropping so fast that the weight kind of disconnects, and then when he goes to go up, the weight crashes on top of him. Okay. That's a funny timing thing if you've ever felt it. If you drop too quick, you'll disconnect from the weight, and then as you go to jump, it will slam on top of you, and your timing will be all screwed up. So I don't know if you can simulate that. Go ahead and try it. You might hit yourself in the chin with very lightweight. Yeah, so see that little bit of a disconnect? Perfect. Right underneath the bar, you can see there's a little air gap between the shoulders and the bar when he drops too quick. Again, that's probably exaggerated. It won't be that big with full 1 rep max type weight, but the whole point of this is that you want to dip smooth and then drive out fast so you can get that nice oscillation off the bar. All right, as far as stance goes, how wide your feet are going to be, if you look at Alex right now, he's basically somewhere in between hip width and shoulder width apart. There's no need to be basically anywhere except for vertical legs. You don't want to be excessively wide. You don't need to toe out at all, basically. You can just be nice and normal, feet more or less straight ahead, legs totally vertical. So if Alex racks the weight, you can see his feet are basically straight under him. As he dips now, his knees are going to come forward or maybe slightly to the outside, just like that. His knees never dive in this way. They never dive in like that. They're always out, just like that. It's going to save his knees over time, and hopefully he'll be stronger there as well. And then also on the dip, if we come around to the side, as Alex dips, we already talked about having that vertical torso and the knees coming forward. The important thing there is that as your knees come forward with that vertical torso, you're still staying super heel heavy and you're not coming onto your toes. Whether your knees are diving in or not, you should be not on your toes, you should be on your heels. So if you look at Alex, he's going to dip at the vertical back. The center of pressure of his foot is right down, straight down, maybe back on his heels, maybe mid-foot, but it's definitely not toe heavy at all. If he does it incorrectly, you'll see the back of his heels slightly come off the ground. So that's something I look for a lot when I'm coaching weightlifting, is I'm always watching the back of someone's heels nice and slow. Yeah, you can see that wiggle right there. That little bit of a wiggle lets you know that the center of pressure on his foot moved forward, and that means since the weight wants to be over your center of pressure, the weight's going to float forward as well, and then again, you're more likely to miss the lift out in front of you. So you're always looking at the back of someone's heels to see if, even if it's very subtle, to see if it goes like that. You get that little bit of a movement as opposed to this. It should look like that. It never should look like this.
Like an
there should be no wiggle on the back of the foot.
Like an Oompa Loompa.
Oompa Loompas got wiggly feet?
No, that's the dance, the Oompa Loompa dance.
Let's get the Oompa Loompa dance on here. All right, one more way to look at that vertical back is to put somebody up against the wall or one of the uprights, and as he dips, you can see his back stays right up against the upright, knees forward, heel heavy, If his shoulders come way forward, then his butt can't come back right now because it's buttoned up against this. But if he does it wrong, he'll feel his butt hit the wall, or he'll feel his shoulders disconnect from the wall. And so not only can you see it, but he'll be able to feel when he does it wrong as well. So that's a great drill for new people to learn how to jerk, is to put them all up against the wall. You know, even if you have a dozen people, you can put them against the wall, have them all dip with a vertical back, and try to keep their back connected to the wall the entire time.
Oompa, loompa, doopity-doo.
All right, so that more or less covers it for the dip, the downward portion of the lift. The drive, where you're coming back up and accelerating the bar, all those same principles still apply. You're still coming up with your elbows high, you still have that vertical torso, you're still driving through your heels. Everything is more or less the same. Where people fall short on the dip and drive is that oftentimes they won't extend their hips all the way. They'll cut their drive off early, especially when it gets heavy, and they'll just try and sneak under the weight without really getting the weight as high as possible. Now, so go ahead and do it correctly one time. There you go, beautiful. Now go ahead and cut your drive off a little bit early, where you're not getting the full hip extension. Try and sneak under the weight. There you go. Ah, that was beautiful. Beautifully wrong. All right, so if you could see that, the first time Alex did a full drive, the bar, flew way up here. The second time, it only went to about here before he snuck himself under the weight. So you want to get that full drive every time, never cutting it off early. All right, so that was video 2 on the dip and drive. Part 3 of this series is going to be on the catch and the recovery. If you want to see all 3 videos, you can go to barbellshrug.com. Click on episodes at the top of the page, click on technique WOD, and then all the videos for both the jerks, squats, deadlifts, cleans, snatches, and everything else that we have is in the library on the site. We will see you with part 3.